Did something happen to you out there? Something you still can't explain? Send your story to us.
Before I begin, I need to make one thing clear. This story was told to me directly by the person who lived through it. I won't reveal the name of the cruise company involved, or the full name of the person who told me. I'll call him Marco. Marco worked as a cabin steward on luxury cruise ships for 6 years. He contacted me 3 months ago and told me something that, well, after hearing it, I understood why he resigned and why he can't sleep before 4 in the morning anymore. September 2023. Marco was working on a 7-day Caribbean cruise. Standard route: Miami, Cozumel, Grand Cayman, Jamaica, then back to Miami. 2,400 passengers, 800 crew members, a massive modern ship with every security system you can imagine. Electronic key cards for every cabin, cameras in the main corridors, everything monitored 24 hours a day. It was the 3rd night of the trip. Marco was finishing his shift when security called him. They had a problem. At 3:17 in the morning, the system had registered a key card being used in cabin 8147. You might be thinking, so what? Someone entered their own cabin. The problem was, cabin 8147 was empty. No reservation, no occupants. Locked since the beginning of the cruise. Marco accompanied 2 security officers to deck 8. When they reached the cabin, they tried opening it with the master key. The red light came on. They tried again. Nothing. The door was, how did Marco put it, locked from the inside, as if someone had engaged the safety latch, but there was no one registered to that cabin. They had to force the lock. When the door finally opened, the cabin was empty, completely empty. The bed was perfectly made, like housekeeping had just left. No sign of anyone staying there. They checked everything. The closets, under the bed, the balcony, nothing. But then, one of the security officers stepped into the bathroom, and that's when things became strange. The mirror was fogged. You know, when you take a hot shower and the steam completely clouds the mirror? It looked exactly like that. There was a towel on the floor, wet, still dripping. Marco touched the towel. It was warm, like someone had just used it. The outside of the shower was dry. When they opened the stall, there was still water on the floor, small puddles that hadn't fully drained. Security decided to install a hidden camera inside the cabin, just to be sure, just to prove it was some kind of system error. Marco said the head of security was convinced it was a hacker, someone cloning key cards, so they left the camera recording and waited the next night. At 3:17 in the morning, exactly the same time, it happened again. The footage shows the door opening by itself, slowly, like someone pushing it carefully. The hallway outside was empty, completely empty. Corridor cameras showed no one, but the door opened and then it closed. You can hear it on the audio. Footsteps, wet footsteps on the carpet. The bathroom light turned on by itself. The shower started running. It ran for 8 minutes, exactly 8 minutes. Then it stopped. The light turned off. The door opened again and closed. Security checked the system. Key card being logged. Belonged to a passenger who had died in that cabin in 2018. 5 years earlier. Marco didn't give me the full name, only that he was 52 years old. Heart attack. He was alone in the cabin when it happened. They found the body the next morning. He had collapsed in the shower. The water kept running over him until someone noticed. The report estimated the time of death. 3:17 in the morning. The company archived the case. That was it. Archived. Marco said the general manager gave a direct order. No one was to talk about it. Case closed. End of story, but it wasn't the end. Every new voyage, same time, same cabin. The system kept logging entries at 3:17. Every single night. And here's the part that I still can't fully process. The company started selling cabin 8147 again, like nothing had happened. Marco told me about a family who stayed there in March 2024. A couple with 2 children. On the second day, they went to guest services. They asked to change cabins. They explained that something had happened during the previous night, late, while the father was asleep. The mother heard the shower running. She assumed it was him. He sometimes showered at night. Their daughter woke up as well. She said she saw someone walk into the bathroom. It was dark. She thought it was her father. She wasn't sure. In the morning, the father said he never woke up. He hadn't used the shower. The bathroom was wet. The mirror was fogged, and a towel they remembered as dry was hanging there, soaked. Marco was the one who checked the cabin later. Everything was dry by then, except for one thing. The ventilation log showed the bathroom fan had been running for 14 minutes that night. At an hour, no one admitted being awake. The company gave the family an upgrade, a suite on the highest deck, free of charge, and made them sign a confidentiality agreement. Marco said this happens every 3 or 4 cruises. In the final week before he resigned, Marco was assigned to clean cabin 8147. It was during the day, around 3 in the afternoon. He went inside, started his work, and then the door closed by itself. He tried to open it. He couldn't. The light turned red, like someone had locked it from the inside. But he was alone. And then the shower turned on. Marco told me he heard breathing, someone breathing, deep, heavy, like someone who had just run, was struggling to breathe. He was trapped there for 40 minutes, banging on the door, screaming until security opened it from the outside. When they asked why he was locked inside, he couldn't explain, he couldn't speak. He just left, grabbed his things, and resigned the next day. No notice, no official explanation. Marco asked me not to reveal which company it was, not because he fears a lawsuit, but because, in his words, someone is still using that cabin every week, and they don't know. I checked online. I won't say which company, but I found guest reviews, several of them, complaining about strange noises on deck 8, water running at night, doors opening on their own. The company replies to all of them with the same message. We apologize for the inconvenience. We will contact you to offer compensation. Marco told me the last thing he heard before leaving the ship was the sound of the shower turning on. At 3:17, he was standing in the hallway. The cabin was empty, but the shower turned on. If you ever go on a cruise and they offer you a last-minute upgrade to a cabin on deck 8, ask for the number. And if it's 8147, well, the choice is yours.
I worked search and rescue for 11 years. Coast Guard, helicopter operations, overnight shifts. Pulled people out of the water in storms in the dark in conditions you wouldn't believe. I've seen a lot. Bodies, wreckage, people who didn't make it. But there was only one time the radio lied to us. Only one time we found exactly what we were looking for, and wished we hadn't. This happened in 2023. I was the radio operator on a Jayhawk helicopter, Brazilian Coast Guard, Santos Air Station. We worked 12-hour shifts. Mine was overnight, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Most nights were quiet, maybe 1 or 2 calls, false alarms usually. October 12th, 2:14 in the morning, our emergency beacon receiver lit up. EPIRB activation. For those who don't know, an EPIRB is an emergency position indicating radio beacon. When a boat is sinking, the crew activates it. It sends a distress signal via satellite with exact GPS coordinates and the vessel's registration information. This one showed. Vessel name, Novo Horizonte, New Horizon. Home port, Cananea. Registered crew, 4. Position, 90 nautical miles southeast of Ilhabela. That area, we called it the South Triangle. Deep water, strong currents. We'd pulled bodies out of there before. Our pilot had the helicopter spinning up in 9 minutes. Me on comms, 2 rescue swimmers in back. Weather was good. Light wind, 1-meter seas, full moon. Perfect conditions for a rescue. We lifted off at 2:23 a.m. 42 minutes of flight time. I spent it trying to raise them on the radio. Novo Horizonte, Novo Horizonte. This is Coast Guard helicopter PR Echo Tango Foxtrot. Do you copy? Nothing. Just static. That's not unusual. If their battery's dead or the radio's underwater, they can't respond. The EPIRB is designed to work even when everything else fails. We arrived at the coordinates at 3:05 a.m. And there was nothing there. I mean nothing. No boat, no debris, no life raft, no reflective vests in the water, just open ocean. Black water under a full moon. But our receiver was still picking up the EPIRB signal. Strong, close, right beneath us. The pilot circled. Our searchlight, 30 million candle power, swept the water. The rescue swimmers were leaning out the doors, scanning with night vision. Nothing. I kept calling. Channel 16, the international distress frequency. Novo Horizonte, Novo Horizonte, Coast Guard helicopter on scene. Please respond. 12 times. No answer. Then, at 2:59 a.m. exactly, someone responded. But not on Channel 16. The voice came through on Channel 68. Now here's why that's wrong. Channel 68 is a working channel. We use it for communications once we've already established contact with the vessel on 16, once we have visual confirmation. And Channel 68 is VHF, line of sight only. Maximum range maybe 30 miles in perfect conditions, usually less. We were directly over the coordinates. If someone was close enough to transmit on 68, we should be able to see them. The voice was male, calm, had that coastal accent from the southern ports. Echo Tango Foxtrot, this is Novo Horizonte. We're fine. EPIRB malfunctioned. You can return to base. I looked at the pilot. He was already shaking his head. Nothing on radar, nothing on FLIR thermal imaging, nothing visual. I keyed the mic again. Novo Horizonte, what is your current position? Immediate response. 90 miles southeast of Ilhabela. You're right on top of us. My skin went cold. We were right on top of them, and there was nothing there. I tried to keep my voice steady. Novo Horizonte, please ignite a flare so we can establish visual contact. 3 seconds of silence. Then a red flare shot up from the water, maybe 400 meters ahead of us. Standard parachute flare. Climbed to about 300 feet, deployed its chute, started drifting down. Burned for about 50 seconds. Bright red, exactly like it should. The pilot banked hard toward it, activating our main spotlight. That's when we saw them. 4 men, standing in the water, chest deep. Not swimming, not floating, not treading water. Standing. They were arranged in a perfect square formation, maybe 10 feet apart from each other, all of them looking up at us, at the spotlight. No boat, no debris, no life jackets, just 4 men standing in 90 miles of open ocean where the depth is over 3,000 feet. 4:30 to 6:15. The descent, I hit the internal comms. Swimmers, prepare for deployment. Both rescue swimmers started gearing up immediately. We train for weird situations. People in shock do strange things. Maybe they were standing on floating debris we couldn't see. Maybe it was some kind of optical illusion. But I went back to channel 68 anyway. Novo Horizonte, we have visual. Deploying rescue swimmers now. Stay calm. Help is coming. The same voice came back, but quieter this time. Different. Too late. The flare was still burning, sinking slowly on its parachute, maybe 200 feet above the water now. And as I watched through the open door, the flare started to go out. Not because it burned out. It was still burning. I could see the flame. It was sinking into the water, while still in the air. And the 4 men started sinking with it. Not drowning, not swimming down, not being pulled. Descending, straight down, vertically, like they were standing in an elevator. Their heads went under, then their shoulders, then nothing. The water didn't even ripple. The whole thing took maybe 8 seconds. And the EPIRB signal, the emergency beacon that brought us here, cut off at the exact same moment. Complete silence on the radio. Nothing on our receiver. Nothing on radar. Just black water and the sound of our rotors. One of the swimmers shouted, "Deploy! Deploy now!" But the pilot was already pulling up, banking away. "Negative," he said over the intercom. His voice was shaking. "There's nothing to recover. We're RTB." Return to base. Nobody argued, not even the swimmers. We all saw the same thing. The flight back took 42 minutes. Nobody said a word. 6:15 to 8. The truth. The official report lists it as false alarm, defective EPIRB. Standard paperwork when a beacon activates, but there's no actual emergency. But I couldn't let it go. Next morning after my shift, I accessed the vessel registry database, pulled up everything on the Novo Horizonte. Fishing vessel, registered out of Cananea. 4-man crew. Sank on October 12th, 2017. Same date. Same area. 90 miles southeast of Ilhabela. All 4 crew members lost. Bodies never recovered. The EPIRB that activated that night, the one that brought us there, was registered to that vessel. Status in the system. Lost at sea. Presumed depth, 1,180 meters. I requested the original incident report from 2017. Took 3 days to get it. Coast Guard responded to the EPIRB activation 6 years ago. Got there in 45 minutes. Found nothing. No vessel, no survivors, no debris. But in the report, there was one detail that wasn't in our paperwork. The responding helicopter in 2017 reported hearing a transmission on Channel 68. Male voice, calm, coastal accent. "We're fine. You can return to base." I checked the crew roster from 2017. 4 names. I found obituaries for 3 of them online. The 4th name, the captain, I couldn't find anything. No obituary, no death certificate, like he'd been erased. Just his name in the registry, Marco Silva. I tried to find a recording of his voice, maybe a video, a TV interview, anything. Fishermen from Cananea sometimes do interviews about their catches. Found one. Local news story from 2015, Marco Silva talking about fishing conditions. It was the same voice from the radio. Exactly the same. That was 8 months ago. I don't work that shift anymore. I requested a transfer to day operations and stopped asking questions no one wanted answered. But sometimes, when I'm still at the hangar late, the ready room radio activates by itself. Not channel 16, channel 68. Always at 2:59 a.m. Just static. And then a calm male voice saying, "You can return to base." Last Thursday, the transmission was different. It said, "We're right on top of you." I didn't answer. I just turned off the radio and closed the hangar door before looking toward the ocean. Across the bay, I saw 4 lights, red, in a perfect square.